Today, this is our 5th episode, I think, right?
Yes, it is, definitely. Yeah. Number 5, in the middle of Women's History Month. Woo!
Yeah, we told y'all that last week, so if you didn't know.
It's time to be a woman.
Okay. But yes, this is Don't Quote Me, a podcast about life, love, and the culture, but don't quote us because like we know what we're talking about, but like still don't, you know.
Okay, do your research.
But yeah, I'm Lindy.
I'm Madison.
And today we have a special guest.
I'm Lo.
Yes.
Yes.
Lauren or Lo, whatever you like to call her. She is a doula, also a friend, but a doula. And today we're talking about pregnancy and just like, you know, pregnancy, doula, what that is, you know, different terms about pregnancy and just like all that kind of stuff. Disclaimer, we are not pregnant. We are we are not pregnant. We're just interested. We like to learn about things we don't know about. And because it's Women's History Month or International Women's History Month, we felt like we should talk about something that not a lot of people know about until they get pregnant and then they have to figure it out. So yes, I don't know if you would like to introduce yourself and like talk about, you know, what you do as a doula.
Sure. So like I said, my name's Lo. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, or occupied Catawba land. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a doula. I am a community herbalist, and I'm a writer, and a lot of different other things.
Okay, come on
and and I like to honor my ancestors through the birth work that I do with my partner. She couldn't be here today, but Brooklyn. And our practice is deeply rooted in the Southern and Caribbean tradition. Mm-hmm. And it centers Black autonomy, Black vitality, and Black liberation. And we basically, through our work, we want to decolonize, you know, to decolonize birth and create avenues of accessible support, really for Black, you know, Indigenous people of color and queer and trans Black and Indigenous people of color, with pregnant and birthing people. So that's what I do. I love it. It found me and I was called and I answered the call, and I'm kind of just, you know, figuring out this journey and kind of just, you know, enjoying every bit of the process as I go through. So I'm glad to be with y'all today.
Thank you for coming. I feel like I now have so many questions. Like,
yeah, like that was beautiful. I was like, oh my
God.
Thank you. Yeah. So like you said it called you and it found you. Like, how did that happen?
Oh man. I feel like I've always been a doula, but I never really knew like how to explain, or like I never had the vocabulary to you know, to describe what I'm passionate about or what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And then like it kind of, I don't even know, it just kind of found me. Like I don't even remember how it found me, but I like saw somebody on Instagram, I think, or someone said something to me in person and about like birth work, and I was just intrigued by it. And like I went further and further down the birth keeping hole, and it was like I don't know, it's just so I'm just so passionate about it, and I like think about it every day and like love learning about it. But I think when I really knew that I was a doula, even though I didn't have the terminology or language for it, was when my sister passed away and I doulaed her, you know. And so like when she passed away, I was there, and I kind of walked with her through the ends of her life, you know. like through the last moments. And so, and I remember everything so vividly about that time, and just about like my mannerisms and my like state of mind, and my like I feel when I think back to it, I can remember how I felt in my body at that time, and like it's just so unreal. But I think that was the first time that I knew that that I was like called to do something that had to do with supporting people in some type of way. And I've always, you know, been really connected to any type of support work, you know, any type of care work, whether it's kids, elderly, you know, anything. So I think that this path for me was just the right path. And so yeah, it called me, and yeah, I once it calls you, you can't ignore it. Like it shows up everywhere, you know. Like I had people like when I got the call, you know, when I heard the call, then I would like, you can try to ignore it, but there was people in my community that were like, hey, I'd like you to be my doula. And I'm like, oh, I haven't even, you know, I haven't even gotten that far, you know, what do you mean? But yeah, and so like my community kind of also called me to be a doula and to do birth work. So yeah, when the community asks you for something, you got to answer. So
yeah.
Oh,
that's crazy. Like before you even, well, is there a certification for being a doula? Like,
yeah. So you don't have to be certified to be a doula. It is not like it's not a regulated profession, but there are programs where you can get certified. I myself personally decided not to be certified, just because birth work and doula work is an ancestral practice, and it's something that we've been doing for centuries, you know, millennia. As long as there have been human beings, there have been doulas, there have been midwives, and it's not something that you can certify. Like you're either called or you're not. Like you're either made for this work or you're not made for it. So it's not really like something that you can, it's not something you can teach. Like you can teach the educational side of it, like the stages of birth, or like different ways that you can, you know, like comfort measures and things like that. But it's really about connection and listening to your intuition and listening to birthing people. And so if that's not you, then you like you can do any doula certification or training you want to do, and you're still not going to be a doula, because that's not what a doula is. But yeah, there are certifications out there. There's a lot of policing of doulas happening now, and within the medical industrial complex or the hospital. And it makes it really hard for Black and brown doulas to get into the hospitals to support their clients and to just practice. So
because of Corona, or just like there was already like this like type of policing going on?
Already there's already this type of policing. Corona just made it, you know, just heightened it a lot. But yeah, there's always been this, you know, policing of Black people in all, you know, in all ways. And so it goes way back to like midwives and industrialization, you know, when people started to go to medical school and kicked like midwives out of the hospitals and things like that. So there is an age old, you know, it's just, yeah, just like all the other systems, you know.
Yeah. That makes sense. So like a doula, like I guess walk somebody, well, not walk physically, but you know what I mean, like walk somebody through their birthing journey. So like where did they come in, or where's like the normal beginning for like the doula mother relationship to begin?
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends on everyone, you know, like I've had clients I've started with them on their journey like a week before their estimated due date, you know, or even days before their estimated due date. And there have been clients that I started with in the preconception stages when they're still trying to get pregnant. So it really just depends on the person. Typically we'll see it in like the early third trimester, like the second trimester is normal, second trimester. But yeah, so it just depends on the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been thinking like, I don't know. Well, one, I didn't really know anything about being a doula. So I was like, like, I wonder when you decide like, oh, now I need a doula, or like, you know, like now's the time, maybe another time.
Oh my gosh. Listen, if I could give advice to all birthing people, it would be to know who your doula is. Like, you don't have to get started with them too early, but like there's so much to learn and so much to know, and if you're not doing it yourself, you should do it yourself. Like, you should be educating yourself, but having a support person there separate from your partner, you know, separate from your family or other support persons, like a doula who this is their profession, you know. I highly recommend getting a doula, like, and knowing who your doula is when you find out you're pregnant. Like, know who your doula is. Yeah, like, and one thing that I really wish birthing people would do is like is when they're, or pregnant people, their registry, you know, they buy all these things for the baby, and yes, of course you need things, but having your community like donate to that cause for a doula if you can't afford one. On your own, like having your community pitch in funds so that you can afford a doula and have one with you throughout your pregnancy for continuous care, because it's so beneficial. It's so beneficial. Like the research doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. So I would say, you know, I just wish that more people knew about it, because a lot of people aren't educated about it either. But there's so much to learn, and there's so much to prepare for during pregnancy. But pregnancy is the easiest part, you know. Pregnancy and birth, that's the easiest part. Like being a parent, that's a whole different ordeal, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
That's funny. So you like to say to people, oh wait, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So when you like, you're kind of like choosing your doula, if you don't like know them fully, but you kind of like see something in them, like how do you pick, like, is it something that's just like in you and you just know like this is my doula? But sometimes like you're not really around someone who's like knowledgeable about birth and just you feel like is right.
Yeah.
But what is your advice to know like how do you, like who's right for you?
Yeah. It's definitely energetic. I would definitely say that. It's definitely energetic. Like I love that you brought that up, because like so most doulas will do like a consultation, like a free consultation, to see how y'all, like, just to kind of get an idea of what you're looking for, what kind of support you're looking for, kind of see what your philosophy of birth is, to see if it matches up with theirs, because that's a big part too, to see if if your doula also believes in your same philosophy of birth, because y'all may not believe that birth is the same thing. And then, it's really important to have someone who looks like you. So Black birthing people and pregnant people, like, it's really important to have Black care providers, because our experience is going to be very different. But at the same time, it's also important to have care providers who are trauma informed, and also are affirming, like gender affirming. So if you're queer or trans or LGBT, then having a doula who is knowledgeable about that, and also supports you and your identities, whatever your identities are, even like your religion, because you may have religious beliefs that surrounding birth that maybe one doula may not be privy to, but another doula may fully be knowledgeable about and support. So it's like it's a whole plethora of things. And at the same time, it's energetic. So kind of just feeling like, if you just vibe with the person, that when you're doing your consultation, or like it's just really easy to talk to them, or you feel safe with them, those are important things, and then also making sure that they listen to you, and that they support you in your decision making, and don't try to make decisions for you. So that's what I would say is important when choosing a doula. A few things.
That's very interesting. Also, how do these people find you? Because I feel like where do they come from? Like, where do people come from?
It could be energetic as well, like,
Yeah, maybe they just
our clients. Where do they come from?
Yeah, like, how do they find you all, or just like
it's really word of mouth, or like Instagram. They find us on Instagram, but a lot of people kind of know us already in some type of way, even if they don't know us well, or somebody that knows us recommended us to them. Yeah, all of my clients, all of my clients have come from people who I know personally, or people I know who know them and have recommended me. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So like that bond that you have with your clients, that must really like last a lifetime, because it's such a extraordinary like experience. I think that's so beautiful. Like, you still like talk to every client, or you still have
I do. And I feel like that was something that I didn't really expect either. Because it's not like you just like something that you go through, and then like, you exchange your time with this person and their family, and then you just kind of drop off the face of the earth, right? Like, this is it's a whole experience, and like you're walking with them through it, and you see a lot of things, you see a lot of things that they deal with in their personal life, and internally, because birth is transformative, and it's really an energetic and physiological event, and it requires you to open up your body, to birth this whole other human being. And so when your body is opening up, like your whole body is opening up, so not just your physical body, but like your spiritual body as well. And so a lot of things get in, a lot of things are brought up, like things that you've experienced. That's why it's so important to be trauma informed as a doula, because people experience things, and it's important to know how to respond to that, and know how to support them when they're dealing with those things, or if they have like an episode or something like that. And so like there's no way for me to not get emotionally attached, right? Like because they're human beings and I'm a human being, and we see each other in such a spiritual way, in such a vulnerable space. And birth work really forces you to be vulnerable, and it forces you to kind of, I don't know, just like to show yourself in a very raw way. And there's no performative acts. Like you can't be performative when someone's giving birth, or when someone just bursts out crying because something's happening, or they don't feel confident in themselves in giving birth,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to support them. So yeah, it's I don't know, I've never experienced like such like deep connection with people I just met, but it really is like, it's so beautiful. And I don't know, I just check in on them from time to time, and like, or they'll hit me up and we'll talk to catch up and stuff, and they'll send me pictures of their little ones, and man, they grow so fast, it's crazy. But yeah, and I love it. Yeah,
babies really only be babies for like what?
like a second.
Right.
Not at all.
It's crazy, but that's really cool. I never even, this is all new to me. Okay.
It's new to a lot of people. I think, because we've gotten so far away from our roots, and because this is not new. It's not new stuff. Like this is like I said, it's ancestral work. Like it's something that we've been doing since the beginning of time, but we've gotten so we're so far removed because of colonialism and all of that we're like in a stage of remembering and decolonizing and getting back to to our roots. And so I feel like a lot of people are remembering, a lot of people are learning more about like alternative ways, or like our first ways of living. And it's beautiful. It's good.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Look at you teaching something new, because that's funny.
I guess I guess my next question is like, when you do your work, you obviously like bond with the family, but is there anything like specific you can think of, like for the partner of the person that's having the birth? Because I never really thought about, what doulas, like a conversation would be with the partner, just how they feel as well.
Yeah. So I love when partners are like so involved. It's wonderful, because like then I don't have to do as much. But it's not about like labor. It's about the birthing person and the pregnant person feeling supported, and like I am this support person, yes, but that's a different love than the love you're receiving from your partner. So when partners are involved, are heavily involved, it just makes the process so much more wholesome, because they are learning as well what's happening physiologically during birth, and also what their partner needs. And I also feel like it kind of helps them to learn more about what their partner needs too. But everyone can't have a partner there, everyone doesn't have that access to a partner. And so in that situation, like family is always good to have around, friends, people like that, people that make you feel supported, or people that you feel safe with. But yeah, like when we meet for like prenatals, And even for consultations, I always invite people to bring their partners along. Like I've had someone's husband attend, as well as like another client, their mom attended, and I love it because they think of questions or think of different things that the pregnant person or birthing person may not think of to ask, or concerns that the birthing person may not have, but that the partner has, which is also valid because they're going to be supporting them. So yeah, it's a symbiotic like relationship, and it's important for both people to be involved. So during our prenatals, we do like childbirth education, and so that segment is really important for both people to be both people to attend, just so that they understand, both people understand like what the process and stages of birth are. And then we talk about comfort measures, and different like positions to birth in, and some of those really require a partner. And so if it's not me, then it will be them. And sometimes like I can't be there, you know, some like in the times of COVID, like they've been keeping doulas out of the hospital in some hospitals because they're only allowing one support person, and of course their partner's going to go. So if I'm not there, then you have to know what to do as a partner to support the birthing person. And so yeah, we definitely do like a lot of partner support and education, and we have a lot of resources for that too, because that piece is very important as well.
Okay. I do have a question, because I'm thinking, like, because like I said, we don't really know anything about pregnancy other than like what people know about pregnancy. So like, you know, like the normal stuff, right? But what is like one thing that you find that a lot of people like would be, I guess, like maybe surprised to learn, or like don't really know they need to know when, you know, they're talking to you?
Ooh, wait, in which stage? Prenatal, pregnant, like all stages?
I guess maybe all stages. It can be more than one thing.
Things that they may not know that surprise them. Okay. Immediately what came to mind postpartum was postpartum cramps and postpartum contractions. So once you give birth, your uterus, like, you know, when you give birth or when you're pregnant, all of your organs are like, you know, they move so that they make room for the baby in the uterus. So once you give birth, your uterus is like, you know, it stretches, it's a muscle. And so once you give birth, the uterus contracts, so it goes back down to size, and all your organs are going back to their place, you know? So in order for your uterus to get back down to size, it contracts. And so when it contracts, like you have those contractions and it kind of feels like birth. And so even after you've given birth, you're still having contractions because your uterus is going back to size. And the things that, like, especially during breastfeeding or chest feeding, like that stimulates your contractions because of oxytocin. And oxytocin surges through your body and stimulates those contractions to help your uterus go back to size, which you want. It's a good type of pain. Like birth is almost one of the only like one of the only productive types of pain you experience, you know, because you're trying to birth a child, like trying to birth a human being. And so those contractions are things that people are like, they surprise them because they're like, what is this? Like, I'm still contracting, you know, this is painful. And it is, but it's purposeful as well. So So that's something that came to mind. Breastfeeding is hard.
Okay.
I feel like people kind of know that, but I don't think that you really know until you see it or experience it, you know. It's very draining. Babies are, you know, they cluster feed, they eat, sleep, poop, and that's what they do. You know, they're growing so fast, and so they eat a lot. And so that can be really difficult, especially if you don't have good support. But what makes breastfeeding or chest feeding much more manageable and much easier is having support people who see what you need and support you and show up with what you need. So yeah, I think that's probably, like, those are two things postpartum that I can think of. I don't know, like pregnancy, that's something. I think maybe how long sickness can last, like morning sickness. I know it really just depends on the person. It just depends. And every pregnancy is different. Like one person may have nausea for like well into their second trimester. Some people never had nausea at all, and some people like have no nausea and then experience it in the third trimester. And that could be the same person. All three of those pregnancies could be the same person. So it just depends. Yeah, every pregnancy is different.
That's so wild. Honestly,
Crazy.
I just learned about the contractions that you have after the baby on Twitter. Someone said it and I was shocked. I said, wow.
Yeah.
The more you know, the more you know.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people react that way too. Like a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know until she just said it, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I feel like because of this, well, obviously because of this social media realm that we live in now, we know a lot more, I think, or we have a lot more access to it.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how much more, like, I don't really know too much about pregnancy, but I know, like, if without social media or, like, even having conversations like this, I would know nothing. Like, because I don't really feel like we were really, like, taught about pregnancy.
No, we weren't taught.
Exactly.
They should definitely incorporate this type of childbirth education into all schooling. I think it would be very beneficial. Honestly, it would be so beneficial for everyone because it will teach boys, honestly everyone. It will teach everyone about how the female body works, how childbirth works, how pregnancy works, and I feel like it would really help destigmatize sexuality, and allow people to like openly discuss sexuality in a much healthier way, you know.
Yeah, I really think it would be, well, a lot of times in school, they're like trying to be preventative, but I really don't think learning about pregnancy is gonna make anybody decide they want to go get a baby. Like,
but that's the thing, like but knowing more, like ignorance is bliss.
Exactly.
And when you know nothing, what can you do? That you have no power. So like being educated on the processes of birth and pregnancy, like that will help you. There it is, you know, like you know what the process is. Nobody even has to have the sex talk with you because you got a decent education in school. And I feel like every single individual, every human needs to know that information. It's necessary because everyone comes out of a vagina. Everyone comes out of a vagina, and if they didn't come out of a vagina, they came from a person with a vagina. So it's important information to know, and also just because, you know, we live in a patriarchal society, and you can walk up to any person and have them try to point out the female anatomy, and they're probably gonna gonna fail very terribly, because nobody knows. And it's just unacceptable, honestly. It really is.
Definitely.
Especially because we do sex education from middle school to high school. Like there's a 2 to 3 classes that you have. Yeah, nobody knows anything for
nothing. Like what really happened in those classes?
No, I'm really trying.
Yeah, I just remember like we didn't even watch a birth happen in my class. We didn't even watch that. It was too like they perverted it and like made it. It was just like it was. I was gonna say hishuma, which is a sinful in Arabic, and that's how they made it. Like it was like this topic that is a no-fly zone where you just don't talk about it and act like abstinence is the only way. But kids are out here having sex, right? Like it's important to talk about and to educate them on ways to have safe sex, to protect yourself and your partners, Yeah. But no, we don't learn about that in school.
I still don't know what we were talking about for 3 classes, like 3 separate.
Yeah.
Like
3 whole classes. Yeah. Honestly, I know for sure I didn't see a birthing video. I would remember.
Yeah, me neither. I feel like I would remember that. I do remember having to sign a permission slip, or my parents had to sign a permission slip for me to watch some video. But I think it was just like an overarching sex education. This is a man, this is a woman, like, and together y'all can make a baby. Like I really think it was that simple. But I did not
ever seen a birth video.
No, I don't think so.
Oh gosh, we're gonna have to change that.
Oh my goodness, I feel like
I'm gonna send y'all one.
Okay. I will watch it. See how that goes. I feel like it's scary. Low-key, I feel like I want a little bit of ignorance for that room. Like for that room and that space. I want a little bit of like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be like, oh, the cramps are coming. Like after.
No, you can't. That can't be the first time that you watch what birth looks like. Is when you're giving birth.
Yeah. But ooh.
I don't know why I've never watched it. I'm low-key like kind of interested now. I'm like I want to watch it.
I got you.
Listen, send it to me because
I've seen like people's vlogs. Like if somebody like vlogs or the pregnancy, I've seen that, but it's never like the whole thing. So
yeah.
Kind of like before and after the baby, made a little bit of in between.
Yeah. I got the videos on deck.
That's like a, not too crazy.
You gotta ease this in.
Like they're, everything's kind of decent to regular pregnancy. But pregnancy could be unregular, and that's another crazy part. It could be crazy. Like, I feel like, especially on TV, it's like, oh, you go in and, you have the baby. But people be going through it. Like, a lady, preeclampsia, this lady
I deep dived into preeclampsia after I read this one woman's story. She was going through a lot. She was having seizures. Her partner had to wake her up in the middle of the night to go to the hospital. She had her baby early. I was stressed. I went into a deep dive into preeclampsia. I had to call my sister. She has a son, and apparently she was high risk for preeclampsia, and I was just so oblivious to all of this. I'm just auntie having a good time. I was stressed. I was like,
wow. It's serious. It really is.
Whew. It really changes your whole body, your whole soul.
Yeah, you have to go in for screenings. It's really important to know these things too before you're pregnant as well. So like making sure that you're getting regular checkups on things like that is important, especially for black pregnant and birthing people, just because our mortality rates are much higher, Yeah, it's a crisis.
Well, everyone, make sure you go and educate yourself or find spaces to educate yourself, because
we're learning a lot here right now.
Okay.
This is more than I knew.
Okay, I didn't know nothing about this. After pregnancy cramps, like what is
this? Have any of your clients done a birth inside of their home? And how
Yeah,
was that
home birth.
experience?
Yeah, so I haven't had a home birth yet. I haven't been to one. But we actually have one coming up. Brooklyn does in
Ooh.
May.
Wow.
So I'll keep you posted on that. I'm very excited. But
I'm
yeah,
excited.
we actually just got started last July. So what is this? 8 months? About 8 months in. Um so we're really new to this. Like we're baby doulas. But it's been like the response and the like the feedback we've gotten in this past 8 months has been very overwhelming, and overwhelming in a good way, with the amount of people we've supported, and yeah, it's been a great experience. Honestly, I didn't even imagine that it would take off like this, but I've been really enjoying it. So I will keep you updated on that. But I do have a client that's going to be giving birth in May as well, at a birth center. So
Ooh.
you have a lot of options. Like you could do a birth center, you could do home birth, you can do hospital birth, or you can free birth, at home by yourself without
Okay.
any type of healthcare provider. So,
Wow, that seems.
or you could have a healthcare provider present and they're just like very hands off. So,
Um, so before we move on,
Mhm.
all home births are water births or no? Like they could be in their bed?
Yeah, not all home births are water births, and
Okay.
you can even do a water birth at a birth center.
Okay.
So yeah, like a lot of hospitals actually even have pool like tubs for you to get in. I'm not sure in the state of North Carolina if they allow you to birth your baby in the water, but you can use the water like in the hospital to birth the baby in the water or not, but you can definitely use it as like a comfort measure for pain management in the hospital setting. In the birth center, I believe you can do a water birth. And then at home, you can do whatever you want at home. So, yeah. But yeah, when you birth at home, like some people may even have a pool to do a water birth, and then wherever they are, they give birth. Like if you're not in the pool, it's really wherever you are, because once you're pushing, you're not moving. So whatever position you're in, whatever location, that's where you're gonna give birth. So it's really just, it's up in the air.
Well, options. That's good. I honestly didn't know anything about a birth center, but that's cool that you can, technically have 3 places that you can give birth. So
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's your home, everything. I don't know if I'll do a home birth though. I'm real scary. Like I have to be in the hospital.
I mean, you can still, like if you're low risk, the safest place to give birth is out of the hospital setting. Just because of the interventions that that are routinely given in the hospital setting, in the medical industrial complex, and like interventions like induction is one. Pitocin is one, which is basically just artificial oxytocin, and it helps you. It dilates you and gets birth progressing quicker, which is not always good because the baby may not be ready, and the contractions that happen with Pitocin are much stronger and much longer and closer together than normal like physiological contractions, which kind of give you breaks. like when you're contracting, you'll get a break after you can rest, and then you have another contraction. With Pitocin, they're much stronger and much more closer together, and they're longer as well. So things like epidural, things like C-section, all of those types of things, all of those interventions, which, you know, can also save lives, right? In emergency situations. However, the hospital tends to use these interventions routinely, even when they're not necessary, medically necessary. And a lot of their practices are not evidence-based practices, which causes a lot of harm. So if you're low risk, then I recommend looking into, you know, some form of birth outside of the hospital setting. So, and if you like that, like if you like the feel of a hospital and are low risk, then look into a birth center, because those are great places. And also midwifery care is top notch. Like, definitely get a midwife for real, because midwives are, they're heaven sent. So absolutely look into midwife.
Okay. So people can have a midwife, a doula, and a doctor. They all
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Listen, good to know, because not that I'm getting pregnant anytime soon, but you know, it's just in there, it's in the brain, you know.
Yeah, you should know it before you even get pregnant. You should know all of this. Know your options.
I bet a lot of times people get pregnant like, wow, so I gotta learn a lot.
In a very short amount of time. Yeah. Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Start early.
Right. They just gotta get a doula and, you know, they'll learn. But yes, we're going to skedaddle on to our second little section of the podcast and talk about our unpopular opinion about pregnancy. And today, our unpopular opinion about pregnancy is not really about pregnancy, more about like after pregnant and just like all the like seemingly unnecessary pregnancy terms about people talking about their children or like talking about them being pregnant, and just how like if your baby is 2, just say 2 and not 40 something months, or like, you know, like just go ahead, like after 1 year we're gonna drop the weeks, we're dropping the months, we're dropping the hours, we're just gonna go ahead and say
leave it alone.
Not the hours.
My baby is 2 years old. It's really all right. I just feel like there'd be like a whole separate, you know, there's a code. Like after you get a child, now it's like a whole separate code that you speak now. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, the same person. Literally.
3 days.
I always never knew. I feel like I had one more little code.
Oh, you talked about if someone says we're pregnant.
Oh yes.
Just like one person.
Right. Me personally, I feel like once I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. Like, please don't group us together. Like, yes, they were a part of this in, like, you know, inception of this time, but it's me though. Like, I'm dealing with it.
I low-key like that though. I do, because because that means they're also taking responsibility, you know, and taking ownership of their part in what they've created too. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like partners they feel like left out in a lot of ways, especially like during pregnancy. Yes, because you like the connection with the pregnant person and the baby is going to be so different than the connection with the parent and the baby. That's not the non-pregnant person, the non-pregnant parent. is going to just be different. Like the connection is going to be different. So it can be a little isolating, I think. So in any way that they can be a part of it, I feel like they should be a part of it, you know, especially too, like in the immediate postpartum, because when you're breastfeeding or chest feeding, and like your partner, they can't feed them, right? Like you're there, and if they do, then it's not the same, because you're feeding this baby from your body, and they're like looking at you, and there's this flow of oxytocin happening, and you're bonding with your baby. But then when they're with their parent, that skin to skin is super important too, because that helps bond as well, and there's a flow of oxytocin there too. But the support is just different, you know, the way that the your partner shows up is going to just be different, and sometimes it can be isolating from what I've seen. So in any way that they can like be involved, you know, because they're super important too. There's so much that they can be doing, and there's so much that they so much that the baby needs from them as well. So I don't know. I kind of like when people say we're pregnant. Yeah, I really do.
We're having a baby.
Yeah.
We're pregnant.
We're pregnant. We're having a baby. Like you kind of, yeah, you would say we're having a baby. You wouldn't say they're having a baby. Like it's your baby too, you know?
I guess, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. If somebody said they're having a baby, I'll be mad. Like they, like,
right? Like,
what do you mean they?
Like, oh, she having a baby? I don't know that girl.
That girl. Yeah, I think that's why I'm fine with it, because it's like it makes me feel like we're a team. Like,
yeah, you know, it is.
It feels like
that's true. That's true.
Team energy.
Let's hope. Let's hope that it is.
Big team energy. We're together on this. I feel like I do see a lot of like, I guess like speaking to your point of like, you know, the other parent feels left out. I do like, I'll be watching like grown people's vlogs about their families, and the men usually are left out, or like the other partner usually feels like, oh, like I'm not doing anything. And for a long time, I was like, dang, as a woman, I gotta do all of this. But I guess it's like vice versa. Like I would like to experience it. At least I get to experience like what that would be or what that feels like, instead of just like being, I guess, automatically I don't even get to know what that's like. So
yeah. I mean, I guess it also depends on what your philosophy of parenting is too. And how both of you show up as parents, and how you should show up as parents, because that differs, you know, family to family. It's very different. Like one family may, like the one parent may do everything, you know, and the other parent may do some things and some other things, you know, and that works for them. And then you may have this other family who is like 50-50, you know, they do equal work, and they do the same type of work equally, and that works for them. So I guess it just depends on like what your philosophy of parenting is and what's important to you as a parent.
True. Yeah, that makes me think of, this is just a little random, but my dad was talking to me about when I was younger, and he used to tell me all the time that I didn't like him, and I only wanted to be with my mom.
Yeah,
all the time. It made me feel really bad. I was like, man, I didn't know I didn't like you.
Oh no.
I was just trying to hang out with my mom, but we're good now.
Yeah. There are phases. I don't know.
There really are phases with like being a child, but also being a parent, because I know for a long, well, not a long time, but growing up, like I always had like, I guess like a negative connotation towards my mom, because she was the one like reprimanding us and like, you know, but my dad was just always, you know, he was there, he was having fun, we're having fun. Yeah. But then like you grow up and you're like, all right, you know, she did what she had to do. We can, you know, we can be friends now. Yeah. But it's just like that dynamic that you don't realize when you're growing up, but then you be like, oh, like, okay, that used to be how we were, but now we're different and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think in your 20 somethings and beyond, maybe even earlier too. You kind of like, well, at least for me, like I was more forgiving, became more forgiving of my parents, and started seeing them as more than just parents, like as human beings, and that like had a life outside of me as well. And so I feel like when you bring your parents off of that pedestal of like everything, giving you everything, and they are the center of the world, they're actually just human beings who are trying to also survive and trying to keep another human being, or however many human beings they birthed alive, or have that they take care of. And so like seeing them in that way, it just it humbles you. And I just like I've been very forgiving of my parents, and I know that they did the best with what they had, and so I try not to like hold anything against them, because shoot, I have a wonderful life and am privileged in many ways, and so I can't even begin to complain. But yeah, they did what they had to do, and they did the best with what they had. So, but I do believe like there are phases that you go through where you need certain things from certain parents at different times. So, yeah, I think life's just that way in general.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Very well said, honestly. I think I figured that out, like that my parents like
for people,
see them as people.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wow, this is different.
Yeah.
We've gotten to the point where now we can casually talk as humans,
Right.
and not
Right.
child to parent. Now we're just like human to human. Just
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
hey,
Yes.
Yeah, especially since being back in this house, like since quarantine, being back in this house, I'm like, oh, so we're friends, like
Yeah,
friends here, we're on the similar playing field. We can have a similar conversation. So yeah, I think it is definitely phases, because child Lindy and grown Lindy, well, really semi-grown Lindy,
trying to be grown.
Yeah, trying to get there, grown
to do adult things.
Yeah. Different people. So yeah, for sure. But yeah, child, that's all I got for my unpopular opinion. I don't know.
What's your unpopular opinion?
Oh, mine. About pregnancy? I don't know. Like outside of those, like if we're focusing on pregnancy terms, I don't know. I think
parenting
it's
or
just
birth.
I don't know. The one that I thought of earlier was kind of just like, I don't know, people just assuming that you're pregnant, like just off of like if you gain weight, like the comfortability of people just being like, even people you don't know or people you really don't talk to, they're just like, are you pregnant? What's going on? And it's like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Like, I feel like that's such an aggressive question. Like, not aggressive, but I mean, it's, because it's like, dang, what if I'm not? Like, it's like,
I tend
if
to
I am,
not,
then it's like, yay.
I tend to not even assume that of people when I see them, even if it's like I'm 99% sure, I don't, because like you never know if somebody is excited about that pregnancy or how it came to be or what their situation is like with the partner or a person who got them pregnant, and so like I feel like we tend to be like super excited about pregnancy and birth, and like everyone doesn't feel that way, even if they're the person that's pregnant. So I feel like it's really important to remember that, and not everyone's situation is a happy one. So yeah, like they could have come to that decision and it was really hard, or they may be going like on their way to get an abortion, And so that, yeah, it's just lots of different experiences and like, you know, walks that people are coming from, being pregnant or not being pregnant. So, or, you know, even like when I think of, when you say that, like asking someone if they're pregnant and like they've been trying for so long and they haven't gotten pregnant and they wish they could be, or they're like physiologically unable to give birth and they really want to. So yeah, I tend to steer away from that question. And when people are pregnant and they like let it be known, I don't assume that they're excited about it right off the bat. I ask them like, how do you feel about that? You know, and like, how is it going? You know, before I project my, you know, happiness or excitement onto them, because we all tend to be excited with like new life, most of us. So yeah.
I feel that. I definitely don't asking people about their pregnancy at all. I'm just like, look, if they would like to, you know, tell me, that's fine.
Wait for some pictures to pop up. And you're just
Right.
like,
all right, just wait for Instagram.
Wait
Like,
for you to tell me.
okay, congrats.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, this is none of my business.
Let me know when you want to.
Exactly.
I'll be here waiting, or not. I'll just be here living life.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But that kind of leads us into our last segment, which is You Wrong for That? Because, well, this segment actually is about whether someone who's giving birth to a child should tell their partner about it if they don't know. Should both people be informed about it? Is it wrong for someone to keep that away from someone else, basically?
That's a good question.
That's what we should get into.
What do you think?
Do you guys think? Oh, what do I think? I think, personally, I think you should tell someone, because I feel like it's like a big experience, and I feel like they might want to be a part of it, you know? But I also think, I guess you have to think about your situation. Maybe that person could be dangerous. Maybe that person could be doing some things that you don't really want around your kid. I guess you have to access or look at your situation and
find the word for you. I was like, what?
Let me look up to the sky and try to find a word. But yeah, just look at your situation. But I would mostly want to be told or to tell someone, even if they don't want to be a part of it, then, you know, at least I put myself out there. You know, I tried.
Yeah. Lindy?
So
I agree with that. Basically, like, you should definitely, I feel you should say something, but not be looking for anything. Like, if we're talking about an experience, like a situation where I guess like where you and your partner aren't together, or you're even thinking about having an abortion or something, you should definitely say something, but not really like whatever really happens out of it. It's more about like you letting them know, like, so everybody knows what's happening here, but also it's still my decision to decide how I move forward with this pregnancy. But I would say let them know, because it's like, dang, you could like a whole baby, like, or if you have the baby and still don't tell anybody, it's like, I have a whole child in the world, or I could have had a whole child in the world and I just had no idea completely about it. Like, I don't think that's right. Like, just say something.
This is such an interesting conversation, because I'm thinking like, why are you in that situation? You know, to even like put yourself in that situation to have to make that decision, you know? Like, of course, in a sexual assault situation, like, that's not something that you can control. But you can choose who you have babies with, you know? And like, what does it look like to choose a partner that cares for you, and who actively wants to have children with you, and is not somebody that you even would have to think about sharing the news, but like, you know, being excited to share the news, not someone that you even feel like you have to withhold this information from. And like, just like basic healthy relationships, you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think on one hand, there could be a situation where it's like maybe you are in a healthy relationship and everything's going great, but you know that you don't want, maybe you don't want a child right now, but you know your partner, like if it's today, if it's tomorrow, like I'm here and I'm going to be the greatest father or the greatest partner ever. So maybe it's a situation where you're like not ready, you don't really want to share the news, that maybe you're leaning more towards the abortion part of it, and you're like, dang, if I tell him, like, you know, like that type of situation is also a thing as well. But
Yeah, it's definitely case by case. In that situation, I feel like it's your choice, you know, like it's your body, so it's your choice. And if you're not ready, then you're not ready. And abortion is a normal part of life, you know. No matter who you're talking to, no matter like which way you flip it, like it's just a normal part of life. And babies have, like, fetuses have been aborted since the beginning of time, you know, with herbal medicine, actually. So it's something that's happened, and will continue to happen, and should continue to happen, because a person's body is their body, and they know what's best for them. So I feel like in that situation, also having a partner who loves you and supports you and knows that that's your body and supports your decision, you know, and like, and to be on your team and have your back, like, and back you up in whatever decision you make, because there's no right or wrong decision. You know, it's what's best for you and your life and your circumstances. So just is, I guess, is really just about having a partner who also sees it that way, and respects your choices, you know. Because they could have that the spirit of that baby come back later on in life, you know, like if you're not ready now, then you can, like, we do this thing where you, like, in an abortion ceremony, you like write down to this spirit that's inside of you, or you just speak to them and tell them, hey, like, thank you for coming and choosing me, but I'm not ready right now. And when I am ready, can you please come back and choose me again? And they'll come back and choose you again. But everyone is not in the space, in whatever way that looks like, to, like, in relational, economically, or physically, to give birth at the time that they're pregnant. And so that, like, you have to honor that. And so whatever decision that person makes is the best decision, because people know what's best for them. So it's just having a partner who respects that, and knows that deeply within them, you know, that you know what's best for you. So yeah.
I agree. That is very true. I do have a question, because we're talking about abortion.
I love questions
for everybody.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like, okay, I guess, like, do you feel like, I guess, getting an abortion could be selfish? Like, if you're thinking about, like, that you're not ready for it? Like, do you think people, because I know a lot of people like to say that. Like, do you think there's some truth to that term or to that statement when people say it?
That it's selfish?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. I feel like 9 to 10 months is a very long time for you to, first of all, dedicate your body to another being, to grow them. And that takes a lot of care. And our society has not been set up for everyone to receive the same care. So therefore it's not selfish. Even if you are in a privileged position to care for that individual, it's still your body and that's your decision. So I don't think it's selfish because it's your body. And then 2, raising a child, or even the emotional and psychological process of you being separated from that child, you know, through adoption or whatever, whatever you so choose, it takes a toll on people, you know, and so that may not be something that you're willing to do. And so that, like, it has to be respected. I think that, I think it's so interesting, like, these conversations, because it almost like gives the power to puts the power in other people's hands it does. It puts the power in other people's hands to decide what is best for your body and your life. And I just totally am not an advocate for that, because I think that a person's body, female, male, or anything in between, is theirs is fully theirs and belongs to them and no one else, no matter what is happening. And so for me, I don't know, I just would never be able to, like, see it any other way, because I could not imagine somebody trying to have, like, some type of free reign over what I do with my body and how I exist in my body. And no one can tell you how you feel in your body at any time. So, but you, and because you're the one living it, you're the one in it, and everyone's body is theirs. So I feel like, no, it's not selfish ever. It's never selfish. And like I said, no matter what age, no matter what situation you're in, your body is always yours. And you always know what's best for your body. And you always know what's best for you in your life situation, your life circumstances. And there is no wrong decision. And I just hope that whoever you're around and whoever your community is supports you, and that people who are, like, going back and forth between what decision to make, that they feel supported and have somebody that they can talk to about it, because it's very emotional. And it can be, and sometimes it's not emotional. Sometimes, and there's literally no, like, no alternative. And so I feel like, I wish this was something that we talk more about in our communities, and something that was spoken about openly, so that it's not stigmatized, because nobody should feel like a bad person because they get an abortion. It's a part of life. Like, loss is a part of life, whether you chose it or whether it happened to you. Like, we don't stigmatize people who are pregnant, who have miscarriages or have stillbirths. I don't know what the difference is. Like, it's just loss. Loss at the end of the day is what it is, whether you chose it or whether you didn't. So yeah, I think that that's something that I really hope that we can, like, talk about more, and something that people get more comfortable talking about. But yeah. It's very interesting. Very interesting topic.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think that abortion is selfish. Just if I were to like put myself in those shoes, I couldn't like if I wasn't in the headspace to have a child and like I just didn't want to do it at that time, I would feel bad like if I did it with that type of energy, like I don't even want to do this. Like I would feel really messed up. And I also couldn't imagine just going through that whole process and whole birthing experience and then just giving my child to someone else. I don't think I could personally do it. Like I would just, so now I'm just keeping a child that I didn't have the right headspace to have, and now like what's going to happen to that child, that would be messed up. That would be crazy.
Yeah, which is valid. Yeah, it's so true. I don't know. I don't think that I don't think that there's really I mean, there's no ideal situation, no perfect situation, I guess, for a child to be born into. But I feel like whoever is carrying them and birthing them knows, just because there's an energetic relationship there, and you can kind of feel what they need. You can feel what they need, and you know whether or not you're ready, and whether or not you want to do it, because some people don't. Some people have the means and don't want to, and that's okay too. Everyone's situation is different, and I feel like there's no right answer. There's no right answer to whether it's selfish or not. But personally, I don't believe that there is any situation where it would be selfish, just because it's not my decision. It's no one's decision except for the person who's making it. So
right,
who's pregnant.
Yes, I also agree.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, people say that all the time, but like, would you think that would even make sense in this situation? But
what do you mean?
Like, to say that somebody's being selfish about like, their decisions over their body, like, is that even like a statement that would make sense to even bring up as an argument to like?
Yeah, that's so crazy to me. That's so crazy that anyone would ever say that, like, because your body is your own, and if someone was trying to do something to their body, then they would be opposed to it as well, because it's their body.
Right. And then wouldn't be called selfish because they made a decision over their own body, because it was their own body. But the world we live in.
Yeah.
Well, people try to make decisions for other people. That's why we preach on this podcast to mind your business.
Mind your business.
Mind the business that pays you.
Literally, okay.
Mind the business that pays you.
We probably talk about that every week. Like, look. Literally. The world would be a better place if everybody just minded their business. Okay. We all so nosy. We want to know what's going on with everybody else.
Right. Exactly. Oh, Jesus. But it seems like this is a wrap. This was a great episode. Hopefully it was very informative for y'all. It was very informative for me. Okay.
Learned a lot.
Yes, because like we said, we ain't know nothing about pregnancy. But now we know. So that's good. So yes, this is the end of the episode. Y'all know y'all can catch us, Spotify, all podcast streaming platforms at But Don't Quote Me. And like we're on Instagram too, same thing, but don't quote me. But yes, Madison, tell them where they can catch you.
Oh, well, you can find me on all social medias at _lightbright. That's me on everything. And I also have a YouTube channel, and that is just Madison Ophelia.
Yes. Well, you want to tell them where they can catch you?
Sure. Y'all can find me on Instagram, the Instagrams, at the Book of Low. And you can find my partner doula, Brooklyn, at Sade Celestine. And we just collaborate and do all the things. So
okay. So if they want to hit you up on some doula stuff, go to your Instagram, or is there like a website or something?
yeah, you can either hit us up on Instagram, or you can email us at brooklynandlow@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you on either one. It doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Okay. Well, yes. And then obviously me, you can all social medias is _Lindy Yor, and then I do have YouTube, it's Lindy Yor's Life. You know, you can find us all over the place. But yeah, this is another episode, and it's a wrap.
Yes.
So thank y'all for listening and watching and stuff.